I think the region that Penny Wong was really trying to bring stability to was Melbourne, where they're going to have the Victorian State Labor Conference next month.
True.
The left are already preparing a really, as you can imagine from the People's Republic of Victoria, a really bolshie statement in support of Palestine, which will probably also be, and we condemn the genocide or the apartheid regime of Israel, whatever. And there are frantic talks going on behind the scenes to try to get them to water that down, because the left has the numbers in Victoria and nominally also federally, God help us all. But anyway, that's a different story.
The recognition of Palestine's been around the federal parliament for the federal Labor for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. So already...
The party platform.
That's right. So already at the first national conference that the left had the numbers for Labor, they changed the words disputed to occupied territories, I think was one. And that was seen at the time as just something that, you know, basically a bone that the right could throw the left, or the PM could throw the left, so they wouldn't block AUKUS, right?
Because remember, sensitively, you've got the UK, your AUKUS partner, you've got the US, your AUKUS partner, who are very much going to be pro-Israel in regards to this, and you're sitting on the fence. It becomes a bit awkward.
The problem with the left was going to block AUKUS. They were going to say, oh no, we don't want nuclear, and they were going to block us. And in theory, they had the numbers to do it. So the party thought, the smart people in the party thought, well, we can just do this semantic word change, and it won't make very much difference, and the left will be happy, and then we can have our nuclear subs deal, which is what really matters. Of course, that was before October the 7th, and then October 7th happens, and suddenly it looks like, just as, you know, in the wake of this horrendous terrorist attack on Israel, that the Labor has shifted its support to the country run by Hamas. And so these words and these resolutions actually do matter now more than they ever have.
Bearing in mind, of course, that the US has shot down some of the drones, remembering that the UK has deployed jets and also other security systems. So, you know, so Joe Biden says he's spoken to Prime Minister Netanyahu, reaffirming them. Now let's have a look at the quote. He basically said America's ironclad commitment to the security of Israel, condemning the attacks in the strongest possible terms. So, you know, this is the point about this. The US has also been putting pressure on Israel to sort of back off and try and find some sort of ceasefire. But now that this has taken place, again, this is the escalation that Joe Hockey in the early days when I spoke to him, it was like his worst nightmare as to what would take place.
Well, yes, look, Biden's also flip-flopped on Israel terribly. And for a similar reason, it's very opportunistic. It works for him. He's under a lot of pressure from Democrats to withdraw support for Israel. And especially in some states in the US where there is a sizable Muslim population that is now thinking about not potentially voting at the US election. It's not just the region of the Labor State Conference that the government here cares about, but the region of Southwest Sydney, Tony Burke's seat, and others who have members of their own electorate who are very unhappy with the government's stance previously supporting Israel. So what Iran has done is now forced all these people to come out and I mean, it seems counterproductive as you...
This is the thing. So this brings us full circle. So suddenly the support that Australia, for what it's worth, doesn't really matter that much, but the US, because the US was wavering its support for Israel, it was condemning Netanyahu for moving in on Rafah. Right. It was condemning him for the aid workers, one of whom was also an American, and it was backing away from him. Suddenly Iran has brought the lion of the US right back into the fight. And again, they're not that stupid not to have known that this would happen. So why is it? It is because they want an escalation in the war. They want it to become a regional conflict.
But I think in 2 weeks' time,